And we're live. Hello. So
Hello.
we were holding out for Jimbo Salgado, but we'll see if he comes. It was 4 in the
Yeah, we think he's sleeping over there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm gonna be a little hands off on this one because I don't know a lot about it. I know this is a new exclusive from Exchange. I know it's Suicide Jockeys. I know Jimbo penciled, and I know you colored.
Mm-hmm.
I did a painted cover for it.
Painted cover. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll let these guys talk about it a little bit as people start kind of trickling in, and I'll show it. I guess we could start by saying, like, Jason, what's the story about?
So it's basically about like these guys. It's set in the future. They have these really tough like spaceships that they fly around, and they'll fight things. And they call them suicide jockeys because it's almost like suicide missions that they go on. And so if there's some big monster or threat, then they kind of deploy these guys, and then they will go and take care of the problem. So the guy crouching down there, he's like the leader, but he's like a drunk. So all of these guys have been like they're the old school that have been kind of retired somewhat. And they kind of just go on the circuit of signing autographs for a while, and then it gets to the point where no one really even gives a shit about him anymore. And then he kind of gets drugged back into like the last mission that they kind of defeated the enemy from, and it had to do with some time travel stuff. So some people were like hunting him down, going like, "We need to know how you were able to travel through time." And that's kind of pretty much where the first
Who travels through time?
the whole that team right there. They followed some other like terrorist type of lady that built a big mech suit, and some accident like forced them way back in the past, like to prehistoric times. And then they didn't really explain how they were able to get back from that. They kind of left that as a mystery to kind of be figured out in later issues or whatnot. But so this other corporation kind of approaches this guy after he's all washed out, and they're like, "We need to know about time travel." And he's basically telling them, "Well, go F yourself, because I ain't never doing that again." And it kind of leaves off there. The guy's got an attitude problem. He always wants to be drunk or whatnot. And so that's pretty much where the first issue left off. And it's really interesting. So we've already actually got the books. And so here's one of the metal covers. So on the back is Jimbo's original pencils.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were talking to Les about it, I was like, I want to kind of go with more of a Blade Runner feel with the cover. So Les changed up those background kind of that futuristic city there, and went with a little bit more, of that Blade Runner kind of in the alley type of thing, which I think really came out well.
That metal's super cool looking.
Oh yeah, the colors really, really pop on the metal.
I'm really impressed with that. Actually, the process on the thing was kind of funky. It was honestly, it was a really weird gig for me to do, because like 9 times out of 10, 99% of the time, it's like if I'm doing something, I'm doing the entire piece of artwork. But with this, I worked from Jimbo's pencils and then built up a painting out of those pencils, and then kind of tweaked it and ran with it. So there's a lot of his pencils still present in the characters. Like if you do a side by side of the painting and his piece, you can see just how much is still very much intact from that. But we talked about doing like a Blade Runner type thing with the background, and I actually went through about five or six iterations of backgrounds on it, and was like not happy with anything. And I actually had to like step away from this for a minute and come back to it in order to be kind of happy with what came out. But I don't know, like in the end, I kept going with that thing. It was so easy to keep Blade Runner in mind and keep this kind of very specific sort of background in mind, that it actually would override where I would go as far as painting. It was really weird. It was actually damn hard. And so then I ended up scrapping it and coming back and just throwing these like splashes of color and doing like a little photo montage of a handful of different real world street scenes, mostly from like Tokyo, and then use that as sort of a reference to paint in these washes and do something that is a little more abstract, but actually turned out, I think, out pretty decent, you know, with the mood and everything.
I know that some of your Dracula cover kind of has some of the same colors, if I remember. It's been a while.
Well,
was it difficult? What I'm saying is, I know you are saying it's difficult, but like, this isn't a normal color to me. Like a normal color scheme. Is that a good way to put it? I don't know how else to. Like these colors here. So my guess, it was, like you were saying, super hard to do, because I mean, what was the biggest difficulty in trying to get this together? I guess I don't know.
Well, there was deciding how much of the original pencils that I wanted to let live through the final painting. And that came and went numerous times. There's also, you know, like anytime you're working with someone else's art, with a penciler, you know, there's their style, and every penciler, like the thing that no one ever says, and every artist deep down knows, is we all draw with massive flaws. But it's the flaws that make a style. It's not what you do correct, because if everybody did everything textbook correct, it all looked the same. So it's the flaws from the correctness that actually give things these cool factors and the style. So, you know, there's figuring out, it's like, well, okay, you know, I can see a lot of elements of well, like at one point I had super detailed faces on everybody that didn't really work with his pencils that well. And I actually overworked the painting again, like probably 5 or 6 times. I overworked it, and I was like, this doesn't feel like it's bringing his work in. It doesn't feel collaborative. It just felt, you know, at first it felt like I was just using his stuff as a thumbnail sketch, which is not what I wanted to do, because I wanted to honor the art that I was given to work from, and, you know, and honor that. So that was actually very, very difficult, because most of the time folks come to me for stuff and it's just, I'm doing it. You know, it's like me.
You do the whole thing.
Yeah, I just do the whole thing. So that was difficult, but it was a good challenge, you know, like it was like a good puzzle to work through.
Jason, what made you decide to have them both? I mean, because I agree with Les. I mean, Les is the type of guy that will do the full thing.
Yep. For some reason, I had this idea. It's like, I want to do more collaborations like this, where we kind of involve different artists to just come up with something that is different, you know, that Jimbo couldn't come up with that by himself, and Les wouldn't come up with this by himself either. So I just kind of had the idea to do it. And, you know, there was definitely challenges, because it's like, you know, Les can tell you how long it took him to do it. It's like, we thought it was going to get done in this amount of time, and it took a lot longer for him to get it to where he was happy with it.
Yeah.
So there were some definite challenges there.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
It was this was honestly the hardest piece of artwork I've worked on in a while. Most things just pop right out of me, really, you know, with very minimal effort as far as the thought process of what is going to happen. And, you know, like the effort almost always just comes in the execution. But with this, there was a lot of thought of just like, how am I actually going to achieve something that, you know, gets what everybody wants out of this? That was tough.
So is it partially because you didn't create the original design, because it's kind of like a whole process with an artist? I'm trying to like deep dive here a little bit. Like you didn't do this, you know, the pencils were done.
Yeah.
So, like for you, as you know, an artist yourself, you take most of the time the whole creative process from the beginning to the end. So jumping on to a point where the pencil's already done, and then of course the color. To me, the color, like my guess, and I have no idea, is that there's so much going on here that is what made it more difficult. Plus, from the picture I saw of the pencils, it looks like you completely replaced the background.
Yeah. I did. I did completely replace the background. That was really where I kind of flexed pretty hard on it as a painting, because like I liked all those buildings and everything.
That's like a Batman Adventures background.
Yeah.
You know?
And I really liked that stuff. There's a lot about it that took me back to the 90s, which I always dig. But then when I looked at the ground, so if you hold that up a little higher, you see the ground. I looked at the ground and I thought, well, that ground gives me a very different feel than the city behind it. And I can understand some choices, you know, the reason to combine those together to try and maybe capture different, you know, different tones of the story. But as a painting, I felt like it would be much better to build a background that felt like it worked more with that ground, which feels like more of an alleyway to me. And then as I started thinking about that, I started looking at a lot of pictures of Tokyo, and going with, okay, Tokyo back alleys. You know, I was like, okay, if we're going for kind of a Blade Runner sort of theme and we want to go futuristic, but they're, you know, just like the tone of what's going on there, him being an alcoholic, the ground and all that kind of stuff. I thought, oh, it should definitely be more of a seedy back alley sort of thing. And I also thought that all those colors, I landed on a yellow dominant color scheme because I thought that it would make the characters pop more against it. So there's kind of the color scheme sort of grew out of that. And then I also were the characters, as I landed on the idea to keep more of the pencils present and less paint over them and less blending and all that kind of stuff. That's when it started to come together that, oh, wait a minute, what if the foreground characters are still essentially pencil drawings with washes of color blown into them, and then the background is very watercolor. I felt like that would give kind of a nice contrast in texture. So yeah, you know, that was it was really weird. Yeah, it was just a weird process, but was a lot of fun to do. It was hard, but it was fun. So, and I really liked the robot reflection in the water too. That was just like fun to do. You know, so yeah, you know,
I want to see what the robot looks like. I have no idea. Like I mean, no, I see it here, but like I want to see it. You know what I mean? Is it that's a reflection? It's not on the ground.
No, yeah, it's a reflection kind of.
What is it like, standing in front of them or?
No, I think it's more just like a reflection of a thought, you know, of the past.
It's more of like it's in, I believe it's in Jimbo's original pencils.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a foreshadowing sort of thing, or a kind of a reflective thing on the character, less than a realistic reflection. So, you know, I figured, well, you know, we're going thematic. That was one of the other things that kind of gave me leave to be a little more creative with what I would do on it too. Was like, oh, wait a minute, we've got this thing in here. We got a reflection of a thing that's not actually in the scene. So we're definitely in a metaphorical space here. So that meant to me is like, oh, well, I can really hammer that thing. I can really make that thing super tight in that water so that it's, you know, so that it really draws more of a connection between it and the character. And then also, since we're in that metaphorical space, it's like, yeah, I think I can bring out more of a dystopic background from it. So
yeah,
it's definitely, yeah, it's I need to read the book to like really capture the cover. It's how I feel like for me myself. I mean, I understand where you're going for, but like without having that story background for me, I'm lost. Just personally. Does that make sense? I don't know.
I think so. I mean, the whole thing struck me as very much a mood piece. You know, giving more, and I kind of get that. I tend that way on covers as well. Like a lot of times, I like to do covers that are more about the mood of a story than the actual nuts and bolts of it.
Sure. I can see it better now that I pulled out a little bit. I can see that the robot thing.
Yeah,
yeah. There's a set that's got the cover A in it too, just the standard cover A, which shows more of like I think the robot fighting or something like that. Let's see.
Oh, in here.
Okay. Up more. Yeah, that 3-book set there.
So are they inside that thing?
I think that particular robot is the one they fought. So the main character is inside that ship that's right in the center of the screen, and then all of the characters can form one big ship, kind of like Voltron.
Okay.
So they're like, you know, bringing that back into it.
That's
Yeah. So that's kind of what these guys do, I guess, is, you know, they go after these big mechs or maybe monsters or aliens. Whenever something crazy happens, they deploy that team to kind of go fight it.
So this thing on the ground, right, is the monster that we're seeing that they're fighting?
yeah. You're seeing the back of that guy right there, kind of
okay.
a low 3/4 view on that other cover.
I get the feel like he's pouring out that for his dead homie, you know?
Yeah. Well, one of the, I think his love interest ended up sacrificing her life to take out that monster when they were back in like prehistoric times. So that kind of led to a lot of his depression, I think, that he has now and stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting because they're dealing with a lot in this book. You're doing your future, you're doing time travel, you're doing and a super emotional thing too.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be. I gotta read it. I have to read it. I wish Jimbo. I would love to hear Jimbo's thought on this. I wish he could have come in here.
Yeah, you know, I think maybe he wasn't thinking what time it was. You know,
yeah.
like,
I mean, I know
no problem.
I know he's excited because he saved it and he said, you know, he replied.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. So what's the deal exactly on this? Okay. Well, let me ask Les first. What do you got coming up next, Les? Do you have anything you're working on, or is there?
I always have things I'm working on. I'm very, very busy.
Do you guys have stuff coming out together later? Type of thing?
Yeah, we've got something that we've been working on. I guess we can kind of tease a little bit. That we're going to try and put together our first statue.
What?
So Les is working on that.
I can show that live if you want.
Yeah,
I don't know if we can show. I can show.
Les is actually design like you're.
Yeah.
I want to see it. I want to see it.
Yeah, like I think I don't remember last time we were together if we talked about it, but like I do a ton of 3D stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how much we talked about it. We were mostly. Everyone's talking about vampires and shit. So,
well, I'll throw something on screen for you here. This is, of course, my book with Source Point, Apocalypse Girl, and
oh yeah, I love the covers on those too. Those are great.
There you go.
Oh yeah. So you did that complete?
Yeah. Yeah. This, and then let's grab this.
Yeah, do you got Jimbo's Wolverine over there?
Is that what you guys are working on? Is it an Apocalypse Girl cover or what?
No, actually something else. This is one of the critters from Apocalypse Girl.
Sweet.
And actually, the two that I just showed you, these two, the small ones here, these go together as a set. Those are about to ship off to a person who purchased those. And yeah, I have the I'm producing these with resin 3D printers, and I do all the sculpting and blah blah blah. And then I'm actually like these. I've done the painting on these as well. Painted these once they come off. So I really really love this one. This one a lot.
So you just I love it too. Do you? So you make it right?
Oh, no, and you design it has the removable hat.
Hell yeah.
just cause.
Question. So
yeah.
you design it on your computer?
Yeah. I sculpt it in
like a 3D program?
Yeah, primarily I sculpt it in ZBrush, which I actually have open right now. And give me just a second. I want to try to find the first of these sculpts.
While he's trying to find that, Jason, you guys, if you want this, the Suicide Squad, you head over to Exchange Collectibles. There's a bunch of different options. I'm trying to back out to see. These are the maybe I'll try to get Jimbo on Wednesday to come back on and talk about it. At a better time for him, most likely.
Yeah.
In the afternoon. But this is the cover that Jimbo and Les worked on together. And it sounds like a really interesting book. And just head over to Exchange Collectibles. You got the codes over there, right? Econ's 10%.
Yep.
And pick one up. Okay. Now, let's see. Did he share? Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm sharing this screen.
Okay, so this is like almost like an AutoCAD thing type of.
Well, I mean,
it's AutoCAD
only related to AutoCAD in the sense that they both deal with 3D. Now, this is digital sculpting right here in ZBrush, and like the vast majority of collectibles that you get these days are sculpted in here. I do a fair amount of that kind of work, so there's a few revisions still to be had on this guy, and we're actually kind of
you're doing a ninja. Is that what's happening here?
Yeah, and we're testing a couple of different poses besides this one, just to see which one kind of
in fact, I've got another one that we were thinking a little slightly more action.
Yeah,
and I don't know if you can see it. Wait, I'm over here. I'd have to put it to the camera. That would help. But anyway, I'll send it to you. Something maybe more like that, where he's swinging the swords would be fire. And then what I was also thinking is on the animated portion of it, like after that motion, we can make him then, put the sword away and go back to how Miko had him with his fist clenched would be freaking fire.
Yeah, these part of what we're doing with this, I don't know how much Jason wants to talk about.
We can talk a little bit about it. Bill's people can get a little sneak peek of this.
So what's going on here? Along with this being sculpted and being able to be ran, it's going to be basically like 1/6 scale. These things are going to be huge. But along with that, I've built this my quote unquote day job. What I spend most of my time doing outside of comics is 3D modeling and animation. I've been a technical director for 20 years, working, doing stuff for like software companies, video game companies. I've worked on a couple of film projects and things like that. And these days, I really am trying to shove my 3D experience back inside the comic book world a whole lot more. I've been kind of on the edge of the comic book world for a long time. I worked with Brian Haberlin on a bunch of projects for a few years and things like that. So what we're doing with this is kind of moving into the space of NFTs, and a very sort of I think a pretty innovative approach to NFTs, where what the person will buy, whoever buys the actual NFT of this, will get this digital version of the sculpt that is animated, where it'll have like some stuff that it does and things like that. Probably I think we're talking about some music and things like that with it. So and all of that comes off of like I take I'll look at references of the character, and I'm building the assets for this exactly the same as I would for a video game or an animation project or a film project. So like this guy right here, even though this is a static piece you're looking at right here, like this actual piece is after I've posed it, but the initial sculpted work and everything is in what's called a T pose or an A pose, whereas arms are out. And then I rig that and pose all this and then go in and do little stuff to make it printable. So this is the printable model, but there's an original source piece that I built for this that is actually fully animatable. So yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. And yeah, that gives us, that one of the nice things about that is it gives us the ability, like the first thing that I submitted to Jason thinking about a sculpt was this one with the arms crossed, and he's like, oh, I want something more dynamic. Well, in the old days,
Yeah,
that would be
scrap
like,
it. Everything's else.
oh yeah, you'd be screwed. You'd be royally screwed. Whereas now, since I'm doing the sculpts based on things that I've built and rigged, well, then I just go back and repose the character, send it back into here, do a little cleanup and some stuff, some little technical stuff to it to get the sculpt down, add some final details that'll go into the sculpt that maybe doesn't carry over into the digital space so well. And boom, there we go. It's really not that difficult to create revisions or variations. So once I do a character like this, now that we have this Ninjak build that I have, if let's say Valiant calls and wants 3 variants of it, of him, 3 variants of the actual collectible of him in different poses, okay, cool. Not hard at all. So yeah, that's kind of where we're looking at with this. I have obviously I'm using this kind of stuff for Apocalypse Girl to promote my stuff. I don't think he'll get mad if I show this. If you guys are familiar with Dirk Manning from Source Point with Tales of Mr. Ree, and he's got a ton of books with him. He is, and I just lost an earbud. He is doing a Kickstarter for a Mr. Ree omnibus. And one of the things that's going to be included in that is this guy.
That's cool.
So this is the prototype. Now, the actual pieces that will run production, the flames will actually just be ran in a clear red. So they'll be very translucent. You could sit it on, if you had some kind of a base to sit it on that had a light under it, then they would damn near glow. So yeah, that's another one of the things. I've actually been doing quite a bit of this stuff lately.
So when you do, so you make it, right, and you do the 3D. How long does it take for the 3D thing to create it? Is it hollow inside and everything?
Some of them are hollow, some of them are not. It just depends. Like this one right here is hollow inside.
But it's all one piece.
Mostly, yes. Mostly, like the Apocalypse Girl pieces, Hunter Fiend here, these are single piece prints. This all comes right out of the printer.
How long does it take to just print that out?
This guy here takes about 10 hours. About 10 hours for a printer to run him. This smaller Anna right here takes about 6 hours.
Is it like plastic?
Yeah, it's a hard, super high quality resin, plastic resin. It's very similar. If you've bought any resin castings, it's kind of similar to that. And the material, the degree of detail that I'm able to put into these is down to a measurement of 0.05 microns.
Jesus.
So it's insane. You can actually get higher detail from things that are printed than you can things that are extrusion molded, wildly higher detail.
Is it super expensive for the machine and the product itself?
Not really. Actually, the most expensive part of it, in my opinion, is the time, because it does. One of these prints does take anywhere from 6 to 12 hours, depending. Some of them take longer. I'll show you a couple other ones that I have sitting here. Like this guy right here.
That's sweet.
Yeah, this is. I won't say too much about what this goes with, but this is part of a thing that we're going to be launching with Source Point, and I'm super excited about that. We've got some details to firm up on it. Then let's grab this big boy. this is a personal piece, but
oh man, was that just the awesomest painting?
oh, it was so much fun to paint this. I love painting minis,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's like I don't paint other people's miniatures. I paint stuff
Your
that
own
I've
goodies.
sculpted. And so, like this guy right here prints in 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces.
It's because it's the printer's not big enough to. Is
Yeah,
there
the print.
gigantic printers that could print out like freaking planes?
Yes, and we are looking at expanding the shop into some printers. Like right now, the printers that I use are some of the larger printers that you can get. This guy here takes 24 hours to print on one of those, but and he has to print in
pieces
in 4 pieces. This guy right here prints in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces, but that's more because of setup issues, which is there's a bunch of technical stuff, like where this guy has that tail that actually loops through and does all that stuff. It's way easier to keep from getting what's called a print fail. When the stuff prints, sometimes you have a plate that goes into a vat of material, and it prints a slice of the piece, pulls out, comes in, prints the next slice, and sometimes those slices don't adhere properly. They fall off into the vat, and the whole print fails.
Mm-hmm.
That sucks. And so a lot of times with something I know is going to be problematic, like this tail.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, do it in pieces because.
Yeah, I'll do it in pieces so I can orient it in a way that I know is going to have less fails. But
I want to get something made now. I actually like the ninja. I actually like that pose. I actually like the classic pose. I have a lot. It reminds me of Bowen, stuff like that. The original.
I really liked the stoic arms crossed pose quite a bit. That's where I went right off. Now I do have a new website up called 6S1 Collectibles. For those who don't know, my name on screen is Les Garner. It's my real name, and I sign everything with my name. But my studio is called 6S1, SIXUS1 Media, or you can also find it as Les Garner Arts. But 6S1 Collectibles has had kind of a soft launch over the last month, where like you can buy, you can actually buy a print of this dragon. There's some other pieces I have that you can buy. I have a ton of small D&D minis that I sculpt that you can pick up through there. And then we're about to roll out a Patreon where you'll be able to subscribe, like if you're into wargaming, tabletop gaming, all that stuff, or just painting minis and such, you'll be able to subscribe to my Patreon, where I'm going to be dropping, right now planning on dropping 10 models a month. So and what happens there is, like, there's a whole community of people out there who have these 3D printers, who have like hobbyists with the 3D printers, and they will subscribe to something like the Patreon I'm going to do. And what I provide there is STL files. So I can, for a subscription for like $10 a month, they can get these STL files and then print them themselves.
That's cool.
So yeah, which is if you're willing to fuss with the printers, because the printers are fussy. They're all fussy. That is just part of the game. And it really, like, I've worked really hard to tune my printers in to where I know I can get good prints all the time. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to do that. But, for folks who like that sort of thing and frankly want to collect a lot of this stuff without being out tons and tons of money, it's an awesome option.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot.
It's great. I mean, and it also it opens up the space for a lot of artists to share that kind of work and put that kind of stuff out there, who otherwise, there's only so much space inside of McFarlane Toys or inside of Sideshow Collectibles. But you've got artists now who are able to build a following for themselves just on the work itself without needing anybody like that. So, and then people just buy the stuff and download it and print their own. And then they also have control at that point of how big they print it
and the colors. And then that's the fun. They can,
But I also offer the stuff for sale. Like if somebody wants me to print something for them, absolutely, I'll print it for them. If they want me to paint it, I'll paint it. The price does get kind of high at that point. I mean, like
that's the expensive part.
This Apocalypse Girl set right here. If I am painting it, then I'm charging $250.
Yeah.
So it's $250 for that. But the flip side of that is, how often can you get that sort of thing actually sculpted, produced, and painted by the person whose book it's from?
Are you putting caps on how many you'll do?
What's that?
Are you putting limits on how many you'll do of a certain piece?
I haven't really given much thought to that yet, and I haven't promoted the stuff yet because I know if I get a big flood of orders for it, it could become problematic.
Then you're bound.
Yeah, and I do not want to make promises I can't keep. But there's I have a couple of meetings coming up and some things going on where I'm talking with some folks about some expansions to my studio, where we're looking at expanding out into a number of they're called 8K printers. These, like, good God, they're huge. They're like large enough that in this material I could print an entire like shoulder and head piece, life size. Like I could literally print myself a full
we could do all pieces and make a whole body too.
Yeah. And I mean, like one of the places that I actually, because I have some friends who are, I've done stuff in film. One of the things that I really want to be able to do with it, I actually have some gear coming that's going to give me the ability to do 3D scanning and 3D scanning on the fly, like handheld walk around things. And one of the things I'm wanting to be able to do is, let's say we're working on a horror film and we need appliances sculpted. Well, instead of doing a body cast of someone, now I'll be able to walk around them and do a 3D scan of their head and shoulders, toss that into the computer, and then do all my design sculpts. If I want to do a makeup piece, do all my design sculpts on the scan, get that approved so there's no material cost involved at all. Get all that approved, and then I have the original shape of their head, and then I have the sculpt of, say, the appliances. And those two things will fit together exactly as if there were a body cast and then a recast from a clay sculpt. Well, having those in resin, I can then print those and run, like if I wanted to run silicone, I could run silicone off those because they're going to be perfect to each other. Plus, if you have those assets, as opposed to traditionally sculpted and produced pieces for film, well, then eventually like masks and molds, they wear out and you have to recast molds. So then you've got much more you've got all this generational loss because you've had to reuse your sculpts. Whereas, first off, resin is extremely resilient
and print it out.
Yeah. And you just print it out fresh and boom, you've got the exact same thing every time. Like there are so many uses for this. It's nuts. It's really crazy. And what's funny too is like this 3D printing has allowed me as a 3D artist and a traditional artist to bridge the two in some wild ways, where like now if I have ideas for art tools I want to use on a board, say I need masks or I need specialized tools of whatever kind, some kind of crazy compass, I'll actually design the object and 3D print that new tool and then use it in traditional stuff. My workbench back here has like special little paint holders that I designed and print out and put them up. So it's weird, man. It's so
that is
cool.
Dude, that is cool too. I mean, you could get just like in layman, like other terms, you could create the new spork, like a new tool that someone could use. You could, you never know what can come out of it, something that, I mean, especially for artists, that might be a good way for you to go, is to pitch new like you're saying, paint holders or whatever that artists don't have the ability to buy because they don't make them. So
Yeah.
that's actually really cool too. But I gotta end this because we've been going for quite a while, and we didn't even have Jimbo.
No Jimbo.
I'll try to get Jimbo on for Wednesday, my art interview show. I'll maybe talk to him a little bit about this too. This was its own little art interview with Les, which is great. And that animation stuff's really cool. If you guys, I always thought 3D printing was cool. I just never have done it.
It's wild to have like at your fingertips. I've got what one.
I need to learn. That's the
got
thing.
like four different printers. I have 3 resin printers and 1 giant FDM printer in the shop here. And it's just, I'm telling you, inside the next 3 to 5 years, 3D printers in some form are going to become as common in people's homes as a toaster.
Oh,
and there
sure.
is a ton of stuff, just stuff that
you
we
can already
commonly
print.
use all the time. That instead of buying it at a store, you'll just download a file, throw it on your 3D printer, go. That's coming. That's going to be reality sooner than anybody thinks. And you know, one of the things that's exciting for me as an artist who's been in 3D forever. My first 3D work was back in 1993. You know, it's like if you're a 3D artist, designer, engineer, creator, with this stuff coming, it's like, oh my God, whatever I imagine is going to be real. It's just going to be like, it's straight from here to here now. And it's weird, man. It has really been a weird headspace to find myself in after all these years. You know, like for years and years and years, I did all this stuff, did comics, did 3D, did all the stuff, but it was all either on a page or it was, you know, and there's always that great feeling when something of yours gets made into a physical thing. And now to be able to just pop these out for myself. I mean, you can see the shelves behind me. It's ridiculous the amount of resin I'm going through. Gallons upon gallons of resin. And that stuff, it is cheap, but it ain't cheap. Like per piece, it's actually quite economical. But when you're burning up as many pieces as I am, you know, it's like at 30 some bucks a bottle on resin. And I can blow through like 2 bottles of resin a day if I let myself. It's nuts.
I'm sure it's addicting too.
Oh yeah,
you're a god. You're a god now.
What's awesome,
in essence, you know, you're creating a physical thing.
Well, there's this super cool thing when you like when I end my work day, and I've got all my stuff done, and I'm like, okay, let's send X, Y, or Z to the printers, and then I come back in the morning, and boom, I've got a new thing. It's damn thing. There's a damn thing here, you know. I came back and there's a thing in my house, you know, and it's my damn thing every time. You know, it's just I can never understate the absolute satisfaction of that. You know, that's crazy.
I get it.
If I could drop, because I am a shameless self-promoter, I would like to invite anybody who's watching and digs this stuff, either my comic work or my 3D stuff, my printing, all of it, any of the stuff that I'm involved in, God knows there's tons, to go to sixus1.com and sign up for the newsletter. I don't send them out super often because I hate spam. I send them out when I have something to say, and I want folks to understand that.
Sixus1.com, right?
SIXUS1.com. Yep. And I'm gonna pop it in the private chat on here.
I put it in there. I put it in the chat.
Cool. Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff that I'm working on with Jason, with SourcePoint, stuff on my own, and you know, I really hope that folks who are into this kind of stuff will come sign up for the newsletter and kind of, you know, keep an eye out, because there's a lot coming down the pipe that I think they're really going to enjoy.
Sounds good, man. It sounds exciting to me. All right, guys. Well, Jason, before we go, was there? Oh
yeah. We've got this to give away for people to comment when stuff goes live.
What is that?
So this is the Me You Love in the Dark. And this is, I believe, the first cover for, she goes by Cesperia on Instagram. So I believe this is her first cover. And this is Royal Collectibles. Some friends of ours did this. And they all have COAs on the back, too.
So what do they have to do? They got to comment in the comments.
Yeah, comment in the comments when this goes live.
And next time, when the video goes, this video, when you're able to comment in the comments. And next time we'll do a giveaway for that.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thanks, Les, for coming. We'll catch up with Jimbo later. Thanks, Jason. Head over to Exchange Collectibles, pick up your copy of Suicide Jockeys. And that's it for me. I'm out of here. It's time to watch my football now. So
there you go.
Gotta watch my Cardinals. So thanks again. And you guys have a great Sunday night or relaxing day. And we'll see you later.
Yep. Later, guys.
Thanks. Later.